Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and yeah, so we're gonna rant, epic rant right now, if I can say the least. Oh Lord, you just got to ruin something good. So, the new Spider-Man No Way Home film came out. I heard Venom was in it, and you guys know I'm a big Venom fan. That's my shtick. All this Venom stuff coming out. We had a great Venom Let There Be Carnage film. Venom was teleported to the MCU. And I'm like, this makes sense. They confirmed Tom Hardy is going to be going up against Tom Holland's Spider-Man after the film. So I'm like, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. We're gonna get this for Venom 3. This is what's gonna happen. This is where we're going with it. So I find out that Venom is gonna be in No Way Home. Because I wanted to wait until I knew for sure that Venom was gonna be in there, because that's what I want to see. I want to see Venom. I don't want to see fucking Spider-Man. I don't care. So when I got the news that Venom was in there, I was like, okay, we'll go see it. We'll go see it, because if there's something in there that I don't know about, and they start doing this Morbius stuff, because I think Venom's going to be in Morbius 2 as well, and they start doing this stuff, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what the 411 is when Venom 3 comes out, so we kind of know what's going on here. So I go see it. I'm watching, like, I think it was like close to like 3 hours, because it was like 7 o'clock when I got in there, which, oh my god, the tickets was ridiculous. I seen it tonight on Tuesday, or actually at the time of recording this would probably be the next day, but seeing it on Tuesday because it's like, that's a cheap day. I'm not gonna waste $13. It's like $13 for this damn thing. That's more than normal. Okay. The Regal was packed. Like, I mean, packed for my movie theater is actually impressive, because I've never been to the Regal. The Regal I go to has never been that packed with the seats. Because, like, I'm going through all the, I'm going through the app, right? I'm going through the apps of everything past 4 o'clock, because once it goes past 4 o'clock, that's when you can get, like, the cheap tickets or whatever. I'm going through them all. I'm like, oh my god, nearly sold out. All the good seats are gone. It's all, the only seats that are available are the front seats, and you don't want to have the front seats. Those are terrible seats. Going through, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And so I had to go to the Regal, because I didn't want to pay no confirmation extra $2 for it or whatever. And so I had to go there to get the ticket, so I only had to just pay for the regular $5.65 or whatever it is, plus tax or whatever, to get a ticket an hour in advance to see the 7 o'clock show, because they had they had one good seat left. Like, the middle seats, one good seat left. And I went there and got it, and then I had to come back. I had to come back to the place an hour later just to see it, because everything was jam-packed. Like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, this film is gonna pass Endgame. I don't care what anyone says, it's gonna pass Endgame. Like, this stuff was not getting this much thing even at my theater. Okay? Like, I couldn't believe it. It was for my movie theater isn't that popular. Okay, it is a rural, area when it comes to movie theaters. Not many people go to our Regal. And for it to have that much, that's insane. I couldn't believe it. So we're watching through this whole thing, right? And I'm like, where's Venom? When's Venom gonna come? When is Venom gonna appear in this thing? Like, he's got to have some type of cameo, like at least 5-minute like fight confrontation with Spider-Man. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen because it's like you got all these people around here from these other universes. It's gonna happen. Never happens. And then then the movie ends, and they're doing the credits, and then finally after this 3-hour film, because the film like ended almost at 10. Okay. Finally, we get Eddie Brock at the ending credit scene. I don't know why people call it the mid-credit scene. It's the end credit scene because it's literally at the end. But anyways, end credit scene comes up. We see Eddie Brock. You know, he's talking to the restaurant guy or whatever there. Bartender, I don't know exactly what that was. Talks to him about Hulk and all these other guys that have been around in this universe that he doesn't know about. And then, before he could pay the bill, you know, because he's talking about how he wants to take a trip to see the Spider-Man guy that they'd seen at the end of Venom 2 when they got there. This Peter Parker gets teleported back to the Venomverse, and that's the end of it. I was so upset about this. You don't know how upset I was when they did that. Because I'm like, where are we going? They left a little speck of the symbiote in the MCU, but that pissed me off even more. Because it's like, what are they saying here? Are they saying that Tom Hardy is not going to get his fight with Peter Parker? This is what everybody's been waiting for. You teased it, and now you're not going to give it? You confirmed it. So what? They're not going to have it now? We're going to have a different Venom? I don't want a different Venom. Tom Hardy's Venom. You know, and it's like, oh, well, they can have more than one character. They're already doing that with Spider-Man has been established. Those Spider-Mans, those Parkers have been all established already. We don't need another Venom right now. We have a Venom. We have Venom 3 coming out in about 2 years with Tom Hardy. We don't need another Venom. Okay, and you know, people are talking about the other Venom, the Agent Venom. No, I don't want another Venom. I want Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, just so people don't like, oh, no. I want Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock versus Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That's what I want. I don't want Andrew Garfield. I know people have been spelling that BS for 3 years now. It's not happening. Okay? Venom's universe is not in Andrew Garfield's universe. Okay? It would not make feasible sense. Okay? It does not. Doesn't. Would not connect correctly. Okay? So, all that, and they just basically, they did all that just to basically take him out. Now, I know Kevin Feige had said about, a year and a half ago, he said that Tom Hardy, or Tom Holland, is the only, superhero in the MCU that can go back and forth through universes. So maybe he goes to the Venom universe at some point. But why would you leave the symbiote? Why would you leave a speck of the symbiote in the MCU? Unless somehow that symbiote is a way for Eddie Brock's or Tom Holland's Venom to somehow get back to the MCU. I don't know how this is going to make sense. You know, when you do a confrontation like that, where it's like, at the end of Venom 2, we are getting the confrontation of Tom Hardy's Venom, Eddie Brock Venom, confronting that Peter Parker, Okay, that Spider-Man, you're telling me that he and them are going to confront at some point. So this makes next to no goddamn sense. This makes next to no goddamn sense. I don't want another Venom. I don't want an Agent Venom. I know people have been talking about the other Venom. Oh, well, they're going to have the other Venom. The other Venom, you know, not the Eddie Brock one. They're going to have the Agent Venom. No. No, I don't want that Venom. I have a Venom right now. I don't want the other Venom right now. We don't need another Venom right now. We don't need that. You don't need that right now. Especially with the third film coming out in 2 years. You don't need that now. There's too much stuff going on right now for them to have another Venom at the same time as you have a current Venom getting solo movies. Okay? Spider-Man's kind of different because you already have established stars. Maguire, Garfield, obviously, you know, they were the past Spider-Mans. So that's a little different. That's a little different. But to put a new Venom in while you're doing the current Venom, especially since, you know, Tom Holland's Spider-Man has been established now. He's been in 5 films. He doesn't need to be in, you know, another one. You know, he doesn't need, you know, he can be overshadowed by the other Spider-Man because the other Spider-Mans have already been evaluated. You don't need another Venom in there. Also, I've been saying this before, but why wasn't Venom from the failed Spider-Man 3, the movie that ruined Venom for 15 years being in the big screen thanks to Mr. Sam Raimi? You guys know I'm not a big fan of Sam Raimi for what he did to Venom. You know, not a fan of him. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think Sam Raimi did us dirty. Did us Venom fans dirty for what he did to Venom because he didn't know the character, didn't like the character. He said, these are his words, so you can't say anything about it. He did not like the character. You know, but, you know, he couldn't do his research to actually, you know, you're getting paid millions of dollars, but you can't do the character correctly, you know. And that ruined Venom for 15 years of being on the big screen until we finally got Tom Hardy to do the character justice. But, I mean, I just think it is so ridiculous what they did here. It is just so annoying. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe the spec of the symbiote that was left goes to Spider-Man, goes to Peter Parker, and then somehow he goes to Venom's universe. I mean, that could be something that they could do, I guess, you know, if they're continuing it. But at the same time, Peter Parker doesn't exist. He doesn't exist anymore, right? At the end of the movie, Doctor Strange cast the spell that basically said that nobody remembers him. Not just his friends, not just all the other people that found out about who he was, but his family. His family don't remember who he is. Like the superheroes, the Avengers, they don't know who he is. That's basically what that spell is. Even Doctor Strange doesn't know who Spider-Man is. He even said that. He said that he wasn't going to know who he was. So, literally, the MCU Peter Parker, nobody knows who he is anymore. Okay, that's why he got an apartment. Because nobody knows who he is. None of his loved ones, none of his relatives, no one knows who he is anymore. Okay? So, I mean, there's a couple different ways they can go. If people have already come up with theories on that I don't like. The only theory, I guess, that could make sense is that somehow the spec that was left obviously remembers who Spider-Man is, because that's the only thing I guess that could make sense. And he attaches himself to Peter Parker in whatever the next movie is for Spider-Man. I don't know what, you know, if it's going to be a solo movie or whatever they plan on doing. And then somehow he goes to Venom's universe, which I don't know how that's possible. How he would go to Venom's universe. You know, because that's the only way it would make sense. That's the only way it would make sense. But you would have to that would have to be in one film. You can't put that like in the MCU. Like you can't. It just wouldn't work. You know what I mean? It wouldn't work unless he goes from the MCU back to where Venom is during the events of the Venom film. That's the only way it would work. And I just think that's way too complicated. But Andy Serkis had said that these two are going to confront each other, that this was going to be the kabam for Venom 3, was Tom Holland's Spider-Man versus Tom Hardy's Venom, but I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. How do you get Tom Holland back from the MCU to Venom, to Venom's universe, but at the same time establish that he now has the symbiote that was left behind, that was left behind and attached to Spider-Man? He would have to then go to there and basically fight Tom Hardy. He'd have to fight Tom Hardy, and then he would eventually give up that symbiote part, and then it would go to Eddie Brock, and he would finally get the symbol that he has that he doesn't currently have right now, that everyone wants him to have. That's the only way it would work. But how it would have to be that would have to be an MCU movie. But it's not. It wouldn't be, because there's a Venom 3 movie unless Kevin Feige allows it or Disney allowed that to happen. That's the only way that would work, though. And I think that would be way too goddamn complicated for them to do something like that at this point. I'm just so aggravated because anything less than Holland versus Hardy to me is a fail. I don't want to see Garfield. I don't want to see Maguire versus Venom, because one, Maguire already fought a Venom. We all remember it. It sucked. Huge Venom fan here, and I was very pissed at Sam Raimi for what he did, because let it be known, regardless of your attachment to Tobey Maguire and the Sam Raimi universe, Sam Raimi is the reason why that universe died. Okay? He's the reason. Because he ruined Venom. That ruined the universe, because that was ultimately there was a lot of events that led to Spider-Man 4 being canceled, but that didn't help matters. Because obviously, they wanted to load up the villains and whatnot, and Raimi didn't want that. And then he didn't want to do that in 4, and that ultimately led to the cancellation, which I find so ironic, since this film, No Way Home, literally does the same thing. It literally does the same thing. And you can't say it doesn't, because it does. They literally used, 5 villains? 5 villains in one film? Yeah, they're all nostalgia characters that everyone remembers from the old films, but it was still 5 villains. That's more than any of the things that Spider-Man 3 and or 4 would have done. Okay? But of course, that film had the nostalgia factor in it, so No Way Home was, of course, going to make money. I think it's going to beat Endgame. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think it's a film that should beat Endgame, but I think it's going to beat Endgame. I truly believe it, because Sony and Kevin Feige marketed this film correctly. They marketed this thing right. All right, I'm going to get to that right now. You want to know why they kept Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield out of this? Because everybody knew that they were there. I mean, everybody's been knew this for a year, that they were going to be in the film. Everybody knew it. Everyone, from everybody's grandmother that knew anything about this film going in, knew those guys were going to be in the film. All right, the reason why they kept him out of the trailer so badly, everything, the promotion, the promotional work, the trailers, forced Maguire and Garfield to literally deny it no matter who asked them. Literally, Garfield literally had to deny it so definitively, so badly, because he could not say anything about it, because otherwise he would not have been coming back. So he had to deny it until literally it was in the theaters. Okay, officially for everybody to see. There's a reason why he did that. There's a reason why Kevin Feige pushed for that. Because they're pushing the trailer that's going to have Maguire and Garfield in the film for week 2 and week 3. Like, they're going to have probably, I don't know if they're having one right now, because I haven't seen one yet, but they're definitely going to do it for week 3 and week 4, for sure. For people that haven't seen it yet, or for people that want to go see it again. Okay? They're going to do that because that's going to inflate more money. Yes, they didn't break Endgame's opening record, okay, by 90 million, but considering the fact that we're in a pandemic, I actually think that's more impressive, because I think if we weren't in a pandemic, they would have broken Endgame's opening record, with the way it broke, because it's breaking every movie that has come out since the pandemic on opening week. But here's the thing. Week 3, week 4, they're going to have a trailer with Maguire and Garfield in it to get more people that haven't seen the film yet, that were waiting to see if Maguire and Garfield were confirmed. They're going to have them go see it, and then for anyone else that wants to see it again. And they're charging $13 for this, which was more on average for the movie tickets. Tickets now usually are around $9. Sometimes it's $10. Depending on the movie or the time, because I remember Venom, one of the screenings I went to go see, it was like $10, but then the other one it was like $9. So they're going up. Tuesday it's obviously $6.56 or whatever it is. After 4. But outside of the Tuesday after 4 deal that you get at the Regal, I was looking at them because I was thinking about maybe going yesterday, and they were at $13. And I was like, nope, I'm waiting until Tuesday. I'm not going to pay that much for this movie. $13 for this movie. Like, they gagged this price up because they realize how much people are obsessed with this movie. So people are gonna go see this at least 3-4 times if you're like a huge Spider-Man fan. They're gonna go that many times, and so they raised up the price than what they normally have been at because they know people are going to go see it. So I believe it's gonna break Endgame. There's just no way. I mean, it's selling out in places where it typically doesn't, in movies theaters that typically don't sell out. So I think it's gonna beat Endgame. I mean, that's just my opinion. But from what I've seen, I can't say. And the promotional work's going to work because, again, in the lesser weeks to come ahead, they're going to have that, extra trailer to really get more people in, as if it was an opening week still. So that was what they were going for. Clearly, they're going for the record. But in terms of Venom, I don't know where they go. Like I said, that's the only thing I could think of on how this still works, is if somehow Holland gets to Hardy's universe somehow, because Feige did say that Spider-Man is the only person that can go from the MCU to Sony's universes. So that's the only way I think it could work, is that they come to an agreement that he can be in Venom 3, where they do the thing where his universe, they transfer him over there. That's the only way it realistically would work. And otherwise, if it's anything less than Tom Holland versus Eddie Brock's Tom Hardy, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see a different Venom go up against them, because this is who I'm invested in. I'm invested in Tom Hardy. I'm not invested in another Venom, a future Venom, Flash, whatever. I'm not invested in that. Not invested in that. I'm invested in Eddie Brock. I'm invested in Tom Hardy. That's who I want to see him go up against. That's who everyone wants to see him go up against. So I think it's kind of bullcrap. And I think it's kind of bullcrap that he's not even in the universe anymore, because it's like, why was he even there then? Why was he even there? Because, again, he didn't know who Peter Parker was. He did not know who Peter Parker was. Okay? Tom Hardy never met Peter Parker. He didn't even know who he was until he got to the MCU and seeing him on TV. That's literally when he knew. Yes, Venom 3's, like the Tobey Maguire Venom, Eddie Brock, knew who he was, and yet he wasn't in this movie. He was the only one from that universe, from the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire universes, that did not make an appearance in this film. He's the only one. Sandman was in there. Green Goblin, Doc Ock, the Lizard Guy, the frickin' Electro. They were all in there, and apparently Electro didn't know who Spider-Man was Peter Parker either. So there you go. So he shouldn't have been there either. But Venom from Tobey Maguire's universe, he knew who Peter Parker was. He knew Spider-Man was Peter Parker. He literally found out who he was when he became Venom. So why didn't he appear in it? If anyone had more vengeance for Spider-Man, he was the guy who wanted the most vengeance because he literally lost everything. You know, he lost his photography job because of Tobey Maguire. So if anyone had more vengeance, okay, to get vengeance on him, oh, and his girlfriend too. If anyone had vengeance to get vengeance on Spider-Man, it was him. He was the guy who hated Spider-Man the most out of everybody. Okay? He had the most personal gain out of every person, every villain in the Tobey Maguire universe. Okay? Even Green Goblin. Green Goblin, the reason why he became evil, because I remember that movie because Randy Savage was in it. That's why I watched that movie, because Randy Macho Man Savage was it. Ooh, yeah. My all-time favorite wrestler. I remember that film because that film and Venom 3 were the ones I watched, because Venom was in that film. Randy Savage was in the first film as Bonesaw. But I remember that. And it's like, Green Goblin was not someone who was that obsessed with Venom or obsessed with Spider-Man compared to Venom. Okay, he wasn't. He became a villain because of the company. Because the company was like being basically bought out. Like they were taking it over from him. Okay. And, you know, then he did the experiment and whatnot. And that's how he ultimately became Green Goblin. But Spider-Man was just in his way, basically. Where Venom actually lost things because of Spider-Man. So if anybody had a grudge out of all these villains that were in this movie, if any past villain had more of a grudge, it would have been him. And yet he was the only villain in this freaking movie that wasn't in the movie. It makes no goddamn sense. I mean, this movie sold because of nostalgia, and you just can't ignore that. But in terms of sensical making sense of everything, the Venom from Tobey Maguire's universe should have been in this movie. Like, how was he not in this movie? It makes no goddamn sense. It makes no sense whatsoever of how he could not be in this movie. Alright, I'm not talking about the actor. Maybe the actor just couldn't make it in. I don't know. But realistically, he's the only one that should have had more of a grudge than all these other guys did. I mean, not to say that these other guys didn't have grudges either, because obviously they hated Spider-Man. But he was the one that had the most reason to want to get revenge on him, more than any of these other guys did. Okay? Because his reason for going after Spider-Man was because of Spider-Man, because of Peter Parker and what he had done to him. Okay? None of these other villains had an obsession of Peter Parker until Peter Parker got into their way as Spider-Man. Where Venom did. Venom had a reason to go after Spider-Man because he had stuff taken away from him from Spider-Man. Okay? So that's another problem with this film that I didn't like. Is how could the Tom or not the Tom, how could the Tobey Maguire Venom not be in this film? It makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of really upset about the whole thing. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm definitely because isn't he supposed to be in the Morbius film? He's supposed to be in the Morbius film, but I don't know how long it's gonna be. Is it gonna just be is it gonna be a freaking 45-second cameo like this thing? Because that's not worth it at all. Like, if it's only gonna be like a 45, I mean that's less time than Goldberg's matches. Okay, I mean, take it into that context. Eddie Brock doesn't deserve that. Tom Hardy doesn't deserve that. That's ridiculous. They should have had a confrontation. They should have some type of scene where he's actually fighting him or fighting someone. Because that just doesn't make sense. Why didn't they go after him? Why didn't Doctor Strange know that Venom was in the area? Like, obviously Venom was in San Francisco. Or at least I think that. No, I don't know if he was. He had to have been. Well, no, because at the end, I think he was in Hawaii. At the end of Venom 2, I think he was in Hawaii. But I think they had said that he went to San Francisco. I don't know. I don't remember what the exact dialogue was. But he did say, I remember that he did say that he needed to go probably to New York to talk to the Spider-Man. So, he obviously was far away from New York. But at the same time, it's like, you would think, hey, how do you guys not know I'm here? Like, what the, how do you guys know I'm not here? Like, it's just, I just don't know. It's going way too long, but this is my rant on this. I'm just, I don't know what's going to happen, but anything less than Tom Hardy versus Tom Holland, I'm going to be pissed off. Because I don't want to see another Venom going up against Holland. It should be Tom Hardy, period, end of story. They had confirmed it, but maybe that's not true. I don't know anymore what the hell is true and what is false anymore, after this debacle. But we'll see. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think about this. Where do you guys think? What are your theories on this? Do you think that they're still going to do it? And if you do think Tom Hardy and Tom Holland will still meet each other in the Venom universe or in the MCU, let me know how you guys think it will go, because I'd like to see your theory. Obviously, I explained the only way I think it could possibly happen right now. But let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, link in the description. I do have my Discord link, if people want to discuss this, because this is a hot topic right now, obviously. But yeah, guys, I am the SS Ultimate Goku. Again, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell for all the latest content. Again, I'm the SS Ultimate Goku. Out of it. Peace.